Thank you so much, Evan, who very kindly brought us here and allow us to have this opportunity to share some of our music and arts tonight with all of you. And I'm very pleased tonight I have friends come with me and play a few instruments together. My name is Haiqiong Deng. I think the spelling doesn't help you, especially that Q sound. It's really, my teachers, professors, friends all call me Hai Kuang Deng. I think okay, or Hai Chung, or Ah Chu, whatever. But Hai Chung is my first name, Deng last name. And I came to Tallahassee 20 years ago, and since stayed there for 2 decades, taught at Florida State, and really experienced the rich culture in Florida. But this is my first time here in Chipola College. Very, very pleased. Yeah, thank you so much. Since we arrived here, really pleasant by the peaceful campus and by all people here. Josh for sound and Connie for light. Evan kindly provide us food. So really, we had a very warm feeling here. And tonight, we brought some repertoires. And focus on 2 traditional Chinese musical instruments. And on the program, there's some introduction, but I still want to say some major feature of the instrument. It's easier to remember by reading it. So the first instrument I would like to present is this instrument called the gu qin. Do you want to try to pronounce it? Gu qin. Can you try it? Gu. Yeah, it's only said qin, like Q-I-N, qin. That's the original sound, name. And then later people add gu in front of qin. Gu in Chinese means ancient. Because this instrument basically the history can be traced back as early as Chinese civilization. And based on the legend, it was created by one of the earliest legendary king for nurturing common people's life, everyday life, for cultivation, for entertainment. But this instrument is very quiet. Confucius himself is a very good team player. And the structure of the instrument, even the pieces we play today, hasn't been changed for 2,000 years. And actually, this is the only Chinese musical instrument, because it's a unique notation, that still keeps more than 3,000 ancient pieces. So a very unique instrument. And it has 7 strings. So if you cannot remember the name, you can think about a 7-string zither, because it's a type of plucking instrument, 7 strings. And on the instrument, you may be able to see there are 13 dots, we call inlays here, actually help us to make harmonics and know where to stop and make the pitch. So notation itself actually used like tablature. It looks like Chinese character, but it's not. So they pull some of Chinese character together and put them together as a tablature to tell the player what finger to use, pluck what string, and how to use left hand to press on what spot here to make what kind of sliding note. So it's very ingenious creation to make us, after a few thousand years, we can still listen to play the pieces. So one of the earliest pieces, the first piece I played is Flowing Water. Actually, before the concert, Adrian told me, Haiqiong is all about water and nature. And nature is a huge theme in traditional Chinese culture, in music, art, architecture, philosophy. Because nature is where people constantly can seek inspirations and also entertainment, self-enlightenment, and also the nature here, not only talking about wind, tree, water, it's also the nature within. So in traditional Chinese culture, the title, like Flowing Water, is both descriptive and symbolic. And actually there's a story associated with flowing water in ancient China, which was about friendship, where 2 kindred spirits met together through sound. They know each other. So this story really is about friendship, meeting good listeners, meeting attentive listeners. So I would like to start with this piece to greeting all of you and treating you as my good friends, fellow, share music. Thank you. I often use sonic meditation with my students, my friends, to describe the music of the Guqi. Because in this music tradition, when we learn and play, what we are focusing not only on notes, but also on silence, on space. Very often, a single tone um, tells like everything. So the tone quality is one of the key features for us to cultivate. The next piece, next program actually, I want to invite Dr. Nan Liu, who is a professor of art at Florida A&M University. And we have very similar cultural background. We grew up in China, and I learned traditional Chinese music, and he learned traditional Chinese art, calligraphy and painting, but also drawing, things like that. And we both got a PhD here, and started teaching and working here. So tonight I would like to invite Nan to demonstrate live traditional painting, Chinese painting. Actually, in traditional Chinese culture, art, music, art, poetry, literature are not separate. They are treated as one entity. So we can see the music is an audio or sonic painting. A painting is a visual music or poem. So very often we appreciate these things together, with and without words. Either it's visual or audio. So the program says that our second piece is called uh, Spring Flowing in the Jade Valley Against Nature. This is a huge theme. But the time is definitely not enough because fine art it takes much more longer time. I will play two pieces. Another piece is the title is Dialogue Between Fisherman and Woodcutter. The earliest manuscript we can see of that piece was 1540 manuscript. And the second piece, which is on the program, is a little bit later, 1835. But it doesn't mean the piece was composed at that time. It's just because we probably have the manuscript, especially in Ming and Qing dynasty, around 1425, a collection of ancient pieces. So we really don't know when or the pieces were composed. So we will start, and then I can later talk about a little bit about this painting. I will change the angle a little bit. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? This one is, I use the Chinese brush, bamboo brush. So this is called the Xie painting. When I was 9 years old, I started practice this. My first art teacher showed me how to hold the brush. Kind of a way of life. Over there in China, history is very important, 5,000 years history. So you have to follow all of these rules and paths, and then learn each step, follow the teacher, your parents. So I remember when the teacher showed me how to hold brush like this, sit in the center, your energy, your qi, coming from inside your body to reach to the tip part of your very soft brush, using a very soft material to create a very hard line. So your energy and spirit into that, penetrate into that paper. So that's how I learned the calligraphy. Then ink painting is always related to the literacy. In China, some official scholars, they're not satisfied with their political life, so sometimes they use the painting to express their feeling about nature. So this one is a chrysanthemum in blossom in the fall. There's a very famous poet, Tao Yuanming, so he depicts a very famous two-sentence poem about he picked up his chrysanthemum at his eastern fence, the backyard fence. Then suddenly he looked to the distance, he see the southern mountain. It's a moment of like an enlightenment of his life. All of this symbolism in Chinese art, like a chrysanthemum, the flower, the lotus, the bamboo, are all represent special personality. Like this flower is only blossoming in the fall season, very special. Also the color is very pure, so that's kind of how I did this. Also in Chinese art painting, the ink is the main color, the black ink. You can see started with the only black color and outline. So that's our school. My teacher taught me how to use ink, only black ink. In some schools, start from color. That's a different style, but we learn from the outline. That's the kind of bone structure. After that, we start to apply paintbrush, apply for the color. So that's how the CE painting to represent the nature. Try to catch a sense of nature, not fully representational, but it's kind of like a sense of feeling you just catch. Between the realism and the abstract. Right? The title, this sentence, 采菊东篱下，悠然见南山. This is the year of the tiger, and then my name, Liu Nan, means my name. So those are the kind of calligraphy depicting the content or the time where you created the piece, the special meaning. And then add this one at the end of the piece. If you know name top here, no, not ending this piece. So you have to add that at the end. Okay?
Thank you so much. Between art and music, and you see the space, the empty space here are very important. Chinese traditional artists never feel every corner of the.
Also, this is called the Qi style. Qi is spontaneously expressed. There's another style called Gongbi style. It's on the yellow color silk, very realistic, like watercolor, through layers, washes, very delicate. But this one's more spontaneously expressed. I hope you enjoy it.
The next piece, I would like to invite my other friend, Dr. Sun Yue, on the stage. We're going to play the last piece on this instrument, the guqin, and also my daughter Isabel Liu, who will play the ring stick. I have a little personal story about the piece. It's not something ancient, it's really contemporary, like a new age music. When I learned this instrument, like when I was 18, very, very few Chinese people even knew this instrument. One thing is, almost 30 years ago, China was about to open the door to the world with early 1980s, and then the economy gradually grew up, right? But along the way, traditional culture was really forgotten, especially after the Cultural Revolution. So traditional culture was always hidden somewhere. So when I learned this instrument, I even couldn't find a shop to buy this instrument. But I was studying at Shanghai Conservatory of Music, so I have a master's there. So I learned this instrument, all traditional instruments. And then I left after I graduated to come to the US. So all these 20 years, in the last 20 years, along with the economy developed, the culture, especially every household, start to let their kids to study music, art, all kinds of things. And one cultural phenomenon is traditional culture started to boom. And then along with the instrument become more and more popular, appeared in movies, TVs, even I have some American students here, they heard this instrument from C drama, and they just immediately fell on the sounds. Oh, love it. And then some of them, this instrument become a savior instrument during the pandemic to give them a kind of, very meditative sound space where they can comfortably, communicate by themselves. Very, very special phenomenon to me, an experience, I would say. So I did not went back to China for about 13 years. I studied here in University of Family until 2018. I went back to China for my PhD research, field research. And I went to southern China, very remote mountain area. There's a called Guqing village. I was like, when I was in the American village, how come there's two people in host a village to play this instrument? My memory in China was like, I couldn't even find the people play this instrument, right? So I went there, and I remember the first day I took up the taxi, huge wooden door, and all mountains, very scenic, very quiet place, and I heard this piece with piano accompaniment and the guqin sound, very new to my ear. Because prior to that, I played all ancient pieces, and somehow this piece became a signature tune for me about modern China. And I later learned many young people, or white middle class people, they fall in this instrument because the tune like this, to bring them into a space where they can comfort themselves and cultivate and do something for their own well-being. So tonight, I invite you to play the piano and my daughter play the stick to kind of bring this tune to that space into this space. You can definitely tell the difference and maybe some insight from the song itself. The title of the piece is called 半声听雨, Listening to the Rain by the mountainside. Thank you. stage changing, so we don't have intermission because we're constantly changing things. And I will take my instrument out. You can move a little bit. Thank you.
So this one is kind of related to the music. It's kind of like a town famous poet, Cui Hao. So he kind of created a landscape based on a landscape from Wuhan. At that time, Wuhan is Hanyang, so that's the landscape. So he standing on the yellow crane pavilion. So there's a very famous old pavilion there. So he's looking into the distance. You can see the far away beautiful landscape. So based on that, he's traveling to that time, so he missed his home. It's kind of like a nostalgia feeling. So that's about this. It's a section from that long poem. So I choose it to like a 4 sentences. So 晴川历历汉阳树，芳草萋萋鹦鹉洲。日暮乡关何处是？烟波江上使人愁。So when it's kind of like a sunshine and a sunny day, so you look into the distance, you see the beautiful like a river in the distance, and then the lush trees from Hanyang, distance to the town of Hanyang. And then 芳草萋萋鹦鹉洲, the fragrance of the flower and the grass, you can smell, you can visually see the color. Flower and the green grass, the lush landscape, and reaching to the distance, the Parrot Island, kind of like a distance, small island there, the Parrot Island. 日暮乡关何处是? So the sunset is there, and then we can see the distance become rare, the colors not as before. So he start missing his home. Where's my hometown? If you look into the distance, where's my home? And then the 烟波江上使人愁, the mist on top of the distant river, so that give you that kind of like a homesick feeling. I think that's about the something. So this one's the year of tiger, means spring, Yunnan, roads, right? This famous poem. Okay, and that's the.
The next piece actually is also one of my composition collaborated with my Indian teacher, Nalini Nayak. Coming to the US for 2 decades, one of the things, I think one of the most rewarding things is to kind of indulge in this multicultural society environment, which I, as a musician, artist, I benefit greatly. And I started to learn classical Indian music with Nalini Nayak in 2003. Totally different music language to me. I'm still a novice to it. But this piece also commissioned by musicians in Singapore that premiered. So tonight, I invite also another Nalini's student, Adrian, come with me play tabla. So I will use the Chinese guzheng play classical Indian music. I tried to use the sitar, classical Indian instrument sitar, but it's such a painful instrument. Basically, you're sliding on one steel string up and down. So it's a deep cut here, and you have to sit like this. You know, basically, I have to be very flexible bodily, like doing yoga. I can do it. It's a very rich tradition. So I will sit on the floor. That's how classical Indian musicians play. In classical Indian music, just give you some background if you don't know it. They have a very formal format. Basically, start from a section called alap. It's an introduction, free, introducing the scale. They have tons of scale, well, which is very different from Western scale in the sense. In Indian music, they call raga. Every raga is a kind of color, or it can be emotion, and has a very thorough system within that raga. So they have a roots. So this piece we did on a raga called Amrish Vati. Amrish is nectar, Russian is rain. So basically it's a raga calling rain. On the way back, you know, it was rain. On the way here, it rained so heavily. I thought, maybe because we're going to play this raga tonight, so it rained so heavily. But the original intention to put this piece, I did it. I called Fa Xi on program. Fa in Chinese means Dharma, Xi means joy. To pay thanks and pay appreciation to my teachers, because I really benefit from many of my teachers who initiated by Gogu, Master Gogu in Tallahassee, Chan Center. I started practicing Chan meditation, like Zen in English, Japanese, Zen meditation with him about 3 years ago. That's basically throughout me a lot of fundamentally about how to think about life and view myself. So the initial idea about this piece comes from his teaching. And also I used this piece, collaborated with my teacher to thank my teacher, Nalini, who just taught me like my mom, like my music mother, teaching me relentlessly for this decade. And also thank my teacher in Singapore who commissioned this piece and premiered there with two wonderful Indian musicians. So I would like to invite Adrian to come on the stage. We're going to set up the stage. Thank you. I haven't finished about the structure of the piece. I just talked about alap at the beginning. And then they start to have this little section called jot. It's a bridge, basically from abstract free music back into gradually getting into the rhythm. And then come to composition, where tabla finally comes in. And then the evolving of music getting more and more complicated, a lot of dialogues, rhythmic complexities. And then at the end, it comes to the climax of the piece. Traditionally, Indian classical music piece, one piece, 45 minutes minimum, which is very, oh my gosh, it's very challenging for the general audience. So this piece will be like, I think 10 minutes. We will shrink this piece a little bit for the general audiences. Okay, next cue.
And this is a drone sound, must-have sound in classical Indian music. So it represents heaven, the sound of heaven. I think in Western culture, from Plato, the earliest philosophers think in the universe there's a sound where human beings' ear cannot perceive. But this is a kind of one reflection of that idea.
Adrian, would you like to take a little bit time to introduce this percussion instrument?
Sure. So this is the tabla. It's a traditional Indian classical music instrument that you would see typically in North Indian music, which is called Hindustani. There's a version of this drum in the South, which is called mridangam, which is one big long drum that you play on the sides. And the theory goes is that at one point that old drum got busted into that's how it came to be. But we have a really interesting relationship with our teacher. We were lucky enough to have very traditional teaching with her. We are part of what's called a Guru Shishya Parampara, which is a teacher-student relationship, or sometimes called student-teacher succession or lineage. And our teacher is unique in that she has training both in North Indian and South Indian classical music. So she got taught in the Myra Gharana, and Gharana just means school of music, and that's the North Indian side. And then Delhi Gharana is the South Indian. So it's really interesting because she plays both sitar and tabla, and I got a chance as a student to play both, and I chose this one because, like you said, the sitar is quite a challenging instrument. But this is a lot of fun, and I recently found out that both our teacher and I came to music through our love of the Beatles, which is kind of aging me a little bit, but it was just really interesting to find that connection because hearing tabla in a Beatles song, which kind of like drew me into some role I didn't even know I was going to end up in one day. And it's really an honor to play with John tonight. I'm so glad we can play together and honor our teacher.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adrian. Wow. Well, thank you so much so far. I'm amazed about your. I can feel because musicians are very sensitive to audience, nearly energy. I'm amazed about your deep appreciation for music and art, and particularly those art are not very often presented in the West. So the last piece, come to the last piece, is also a special piece to me, a tune called Xiao Yun, translated a tune from my hometown. This piece originally was a concerto accompanied by orchestra and converted into the drum and the piano. But the melody, the material actually came from a very rich folk music region called Shanxi province, or Xi'an, where the terracotta soldier were found. In that area, there's a rich folk tune emphasized on two notes, fa and t, but not like on the piano F and B, but rather it's really a movable fa and t. They call it bitter song, bitter tone, or happy tone, because the way they do vibrato really brought out the characteristic of the style. So I would love to invite my good friend Dr. Yue again to play this tune from my hometown as our last program. Thank you very much. audience again, please come on stage. Thank you so much. I know it's a much longer concert than I expected. Great, yeah, thank you. Thank everyone working so hard. The sound, the light, right? Yeah, everyone. It's just making this tonight, and everyone of you. Thank you. I'm looking forward to talk to you.